Agriculture is the major occupation in India, with more than 65% of the population dependent on agriculture directly or indirectly, and it is mostly rain-fed. The intensity and distribution of rainfall is key to the success of agriculture and also decides the extent of runoff and nutrient loss. Soil and water are subject to loss due to poor management. Realizing this, the government of Karnataka initiated the watershed development program known as SUJALA. The project on improved program integration in rain-fed areas, a component of SUJALA 3, was launched with the objective of demonstrating effective watershed management practices by integrating several programs related to rain-fed agriculture. The project draws upon scientific inputs provided by partners such as the National Bureau of Soil Survey and Land Use Planning, the lead partner, the State Agriculture, Horticulture and Veterinary Universities, the Indian Institute of Science Bangalore, the International Crops Research Institute for Semi-Arid Tropics Hyderabad, the Karnataka State Remote Sensing Applications Center Bangalore, and the Karnataka State Natural Disaster Monitoring Center Bangalore. The project is being implemented in 11 districts of Karnataka, of which Chamarajnagar is one. A stage has been reached in this project wherein the scientific data generated in the project needs to be transformed into an operational plan for implementation at the parcel level. Towards this end, the University of Agricultural Sciences Bangalore, in association with the National Bureau of Soil Survey and Land Use Planning and the Watershed Development Department, Government of Karnataka, jointly organized a 3-day workshop on pilot management plan preparation for Hosahalli Micro-watershed from the 3rd to the 5th of August 2015 at Hotel Misty Rock in Gundlupet, Chamarajnagar district. Scientists from all the partnering institutes and officials of the concerned departments participated in this very important program. The objective of the workshop was to prepare a plan for Hosahalli Micro-watershed of Harve sub-watershed of Chamarajnagar district by using the thematic maps developed on the basis of land resource inventory, which is an indicator of land use and land cover, soil profile characteristics, crop suitability and other information. The plan so developed would enable the concerned government departments to implement programs for effective watershed management. On day 1, Dr. Rajendra Hegde, Head Regional Center, National Bureau of Soil Survey and Land Use Planning, Bangalore, welcomed the participants, and Dr. A. Satish, Associate Professor and Principal Investigator, University of Agricultural Sciences, Bangalore, explained the objectives of the workshop and presented an overview of the land resource inventory. In the first session, the land resource inventory carried out at Hosahalli Micro-watershed was presented by Dr. Rajendra Hegde. The thematic maps prepared for the micro-watershed was explained in detail. The importance and utility of each thematic layer in watershed planning, taking into consideration the major objectives of the integrated watershed management program, the soil and water conservation measures adopted under integrated watershed management program and steps involved in planning conservation structures was presented by Mr. T.S. Umesh Chandra, the soil and water conservation expert of the Agricultural Training Institute, Mysore. He explained the relevance of thematic layers generated using the land resource inventory data of SUJALA 3 and its importance in planning site-specific soil and water conservation structures. He emphasized that the scientific data generated on a large scale, that is, data with high resolution, was very useful in planning suitable conservation measures at the parcel level. Further, he observed that the cadastral map generated using a large scale was very useful in indicating the exact location of the conservation structures. In addition, the usefulness of the data pertaining to the graveliness, the texture, the soil depth and the slope of a land in deciding the location and structures suitable, such as the trench cum bund, the pebble bund, planting cuss grass on the bund, networking of drainage lines and other details were also discussed. Dr. Natarajan, Consultant Watershed Development Department, Government of Karnataka, presented and explained the steps involved in preparation of a plan for micro-watershed development using thematic layers developed using the land resource inventory data. The inputs provided by the land resource inventory, mainly in the form of management units, indicating the soil depth, graveliness, texture, slope and erosion, and its use in planning for adoption of the best management practices and technically feasible soil and water conservation was also discussed. On the second day of the workshop, all participants traversed Hosalli micro-watershed of Harve sub-watershed, Chamarajnagar Taluk, to get a first-hand information with the help of relevant maps and imagery. The location of the survey numbers and map reading was explained by Dr. Natarajan. In the field, soil profiles were studied.
With a beautiful plant today, right? Sir, a word about for all of us in the field is, in the field we are to rely on ourselves, not ask anybody for direction, because you are given the maps. Starting from the lodge, it is 23 kilometers this spot. So you have the topo sheet. It's provided to all the field parties, right? So you have to plan. Any survey program starts with planning. Coming to the watershed, we'll see.
In the field, soil profiles were studied in the upland, midland and lowland. The data indicated on the map was verified in the field with respect to the actual site characteristics and landform delineation. The drainage line treatment and identification of the exact site for the construction of conservation structures was demonstrated in the field. Various management strategies with respect to soil and water conservation, agronomic practices, crops and cropping system for the location, crop and nutrient management, reclamation strategies to be adopted, alternative horticulture and forest plantation, and other details was identified, and the reasons for choosing such specific management plan was also discussed among the participants. Mr. H.S. Shivananda Murthy, the Commissioner Watershed Development Department, evinced keen interest in the field activities and also interacted with the scientists and the farmers. The farmers were eager to know what was going on in their field and sought a lot of information from the scientists. The farmers requested the scientists to share information on nutrient status and soil fertility pertaining to their land, so that they can adopt suitable measures to improve soil productivity. While studying the soil profile, the technical information provided to the participants through thematic maps were verified and validated in the field. The participants observed very high levels of calcium deposits in the profiles, which led to calcareousness and affected the coconut plantation in the area. However, the coconut trees in the adjacent plantation were healthy due to effective management of soil and water. Realizing this, Mr. Shivananda Murthy, the Commissioner, Watershed Development Department, urged the participants to suggest amendments to convert land into a productive one. On the occasion, a group photo was captured which signified the essence of the field visit. Following the field visit, the nitty-gritties of planning for Hosalli micro-watershed was discussed thoroughly. To facilitate the discussion, 4 groups were formed. The first one was on soil and water conservation, a group led by Dr. Umesh Chandra. The second on hydrology, led by Dr. H.G. Ashok. The third on crop suitability and crop productivity improvement, led by Dr. Rajendra Hegde. And the fourth on soil health and reclamation, led by Dr. S.S. Prakash. And the fifth group on forestry in watershed planning, led by Executive Director Mr. J. Narsimharaj. The brief provided to the groups was to have a thorough discussion on the scientific inputs provided and their usefulness in preparing a comprehensive plan for Hosahalli Micro-watershed. On the third day of the workshop, Dr. Ramesh Kumar, scientist, National Bureau of Soil Survey and Land Use Planning, presented the software developed using MS Access relating to the socio-economic status of the households of Hosahalli Micro-watershed. The usefulness of the software was highlighted by Dr. Ramesh Kumar. The plan developed by each group was presented and refined. Dr. Umesh Chandra presented details of the types of soil and water conservation structures for arable and non-arable land. Dr. Ashok presented aspects related to the water balance, surface and groundwater, surface hydrology, and Dr. Praveen of UHS Bagalkot presented the plan indicating the cropping systems with suitable management practices for each management unit of the micro-watershed. Dr. S.S. Prakash presented recommendations in terms of improving soil health for each survey number based on the information provided by the land resource inventory. The forest species suitable for the micro-watershed was listed by Mr. Manjunath, Assistant Conservator Forest, Chamarajnagar. Dr. Rajendra Hegde, in his remarks, made it clear that the inputs derived from land resource inventory, the socio-economic studies, and hydrology are unique and scientifically derived, which must be used for preparing a feasible plan. The Executive Director, Mr. J. Narsimharaj, stressed the need for developing the best plan using the scientific data which can directly be used for net planning by the Watershed Development Department. He also expressed his happiness regarding the outcome of the workshop and complimented the efforts of the University of Agriculture Sciences, Bangalore and the National Bureau of Soil Survey and Land Use Planning in organizing this very important workshop in a very professional manner. Dr. H.G. Ashok, Principal Investigator Hydrology, the University of Agriculture Sciences, Bangalore, proposed a vote of thanks and requested all participants to wholeheartedly support the program to make it a grand success. SUJALA 3 is an opportunity provided by the World Bank and the Watershed Development Department, Government of Karnataka, to showcase the scientific knowledge and the scientific inputs of all the partners in planning for an effective watershed management aimed at protecting the two most precious resources, soil and water, and improving the well-being of the farming community. Let us all come together to make this project a grand success in the best interest of mankind.